Hey, welcome to the All Ambient Podcast, where we dig into the creative process, we hear untold stories, and we explore the brilliant minds behind some of the finest ambient musicians out there. My name is Mike Graff. I make music as Dear Gravity. Really glad to be here together with you. Today, Ben, Marshall, and myself were joined by Chris Bartels. Chris is no stranger to the All Ambient Podcast. So glad to have him. We actually had something entirely different planned to talk about today, but Chris, just being the brilliant guy that he is, we just started feeding off of what he was getting excited about, and the conversation went a whole different direction. You're not going to want to miss it. It was really inspiring to me. I know it's going to be inspiring to you too. So let's get right to it. Before we get there, make sure you come join All Ambient on Discord if you haven't yet. The link is in the show notes. Great conversations going on there. A lot of different artists, a lot of different musicians, producers, composers connecting, talking about all sorts of things, not the least of which is the podcast conversation on Discord, where we talk about each episode. You can ask additional questions, you can provide feedback, and you can even ask questions for future episodes if you would like. It's a great place to hang and connect with other like-minded folk. Come and join All Ambient on Discord. And also, make sure you go to all-ambient.com. Lots of great releases in the All Ambient family are coming out on streaming and licensing platforms. They're multiplying day by day in the best way. The number of releases that are coming out, any sort of quality in what's being released, quite the opposite. The number of people who are incredible at what they do and who are attached to All Ambient continues to grow. And it is just a great thing. When you head over to All Ambient's website, coming in the near future, you will start seeing some resources that are dropping. We have plans to be rolling them out this year, not in a tease sort of way, but just in a we are actively working on things. We'll be very excited to share them with you when they arrive, and it's going to be great. But that's the place you're going to want to be at. all-ambient.com is the hub for all that. So here we go. Let's jump right into our conversation with Ben, Marshall, myself, and Chris. Hey, welcome to another episode of the All Ambient Podcast. Today joined, of course, by Marshall and Ben, and no stranger to the All Ambient Podcast, Chris Bartels, sitting in the fourth seat today. Man, welcome to all of you. Chris, an extra welcome to you. It's been a minute since you've been on,
Thanks.
but glad you're here, man. Glad everybody's here.
Yeah, glad to be back.
Great to be here.
What's new in the lives of all of us, and summer and kids and making music, trying to make music in the midst of all that? What's going on with you guys?
I'll go first, you guys. Come on. You can cut that out, Mike.
This is why we don't live stream.
Yeah. I will say for me that it is the typical story that feels like summer has gone very fast. I'm also ready for my kids to be back in school because I have such a thing of routine. I'm noticing that even when certain things in summer feel like they're in routine, I just really struggle a lot of the time feeling like I'm, whether it be staying focused or what projects I'm working on, I feel like summer break tends to put me in a little bit of a strange headspace as far as how to stay organized in things. So that being said, I have still stayed fairly productive with some client work and some, more work-related stuff, and then just a couple more like one-off creative ambient kind of projects. But I don't have anything big in the works right now. Like I'm not working on an EP or anything currently. So
yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like summer, it's just hard to like stay in that lane. I don't know. It can be tricky.
You are not wrong in that, by all means. I'm right there with you. It's funny how as much as you want to be productive, as much as you want to just, lay into it, it just gets tricky. The whole schedule kind of feels like it's upside down. And at this point, I'm just celebrating any forward progress on anything as opposed to beating myself up that I didn't get it done as fast as I wanted to get it done. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, similar with I think you had mentioned like kids and like summer vacation and things like that. And so I feel like I feel like I've had a full summer already in that like we had like end of year school stuff for our three boys, which is just like crazy, just like a lot of stuff and sports and things like that, which is great. A lot of fun. And then we had like both of our bigger family vacations in June. So it's just been like go, 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 which has been great. A lot of fun. And I'm also excited to kind of be home, a little back into the routine and able to, work some more and catch up on some things and hopefully just chill in the backyard and take the dog for walks and golf a little bit, I hope. Things like summery things as well. So we'll see. But I am also glad to be back into the routine, back into the studio.
Yeah.
And also a little bit of introvert time since then as well, because there's not a lot of space for that in family vacation and when you're at camp, and which is totally fine. And you know what you're getting into, and it's great and it's worth it. But also introvert time is necessary after that.
Agreed.
Man. Yes. That's very real. Ben, you and your family just got back from an incredible vacation. Can you share a little bit about that? And I know certainly kind of the work-life balance. I know that there's always a ton of things going on, but man, you just did a great vacation yourselves, right?
Yeah, we got back a few days ago. We went to Okinawa, which is a kind of southern Japanese island. So it's just a couple of hours away from here. So, I mean, honestly, one of the reasons we pick our favorite holiday destinations is just, proximity. 2 hours in the air with the kids, the better. But yeah, it was great. We hired a car. We drove around to a whole bunch of different places. It's beautiful. I've never been to Hawaii, but I sense it's kind of got a bit of a similar vibe.
Yeah.
Lovely beaches, really. Yeah, just a great place. Quite kid friendly as well, which is obviously wonderful. But like you guys are saying, it's full on vacation, and I am also grateful to be home, grateful to be kind of getting back into the swing of things, and yeah, just doing some music stuff again.
Music stuff.
As we do.
Music stuff.
Music stuff.
I've never been to Hawaii either. I would like to
Me neither.
I would like to go to Hawaii sometime. Should the
Let's do
opportunity present itself, I would like to go.
Well,
Mike, you were there recently, right?
Hawaii? Oh man, I wish. That sounds awesome. We were in California, so we just
You're in California. Okay.
in San Francisco. So we had yet to make the jump that way, but maybe we should just do like an all ambient retreat in Okinawa and maybe do one in Hawaii as well. I mean,
Yeah, dude.
could be really cool.
Why not?
Let's
Easy.
go. Chris knows something about retreats, don't you, Chris? Knows something about a little songwriting getaways of
Good
sorts.
plug, man.
There we go. Drop it in,
Good
dude. Come
plug.
on.
Terra Songwriting Retreats. Check it out. There's one in Minneapolis. My
Oh, yeah.
friend Elijah Bisbee, who, if you're part of this community, you might know Elijah Bisbee and his stuff. Anyways, I'll be there. Some friends will be there. So I don't know. He does them he's from Cleveland. He does them kind of all over, mostly out east, but he's doing one in Minneapolis. Anyone's in the area in October. Terra, Terra.
It's not Hawaii, but it is Minneapolis with
It's not.
some dads.
It's not
Minneapolis in
Yeah,
October.
some-
It's just wow. Yeah.
We have to make that clear. It's not Hawaii,
But
but it is good. It's a different.
Yeah.
Chris, you do such a great job of, I think you model it really well, what it is to set aside time to, you do a lot of like work travel in the music, but it's like not off to play, a whole string of like shows like on tour, but for you to just go and to, spend kind of a condensed time with whoever you're collabing with or co-writing with, and to do it in, a cool location, whether it's where they live or you guys find kind of a third location, but to accomplish what you do in those times and not that I've been there, but just watching all the different projects that have come out of these trips you've done, you just do such a great job of prioritizing that, and I'm sure that especially doing it multiple times you've kind of found a rhythm to it. But what a great way to, we've been talking about how do I fit in work and all the balance of life, for you to have found a way in a sense, or something that works really well for you to get out and to focus in and to have a great time and to travel, but to come out of that with a whole ton of great music that didn't exist before that trip ever did. I absolutely love that. Yeah, it's a great role model for all of us, so thanks for doing that. Yeah, thanks for modeling that well.
Man, of course. Thanks for saying that. I mean, for you to even like notice, you know, because of course I like try to tell the story behind an album if I go, or a collaboration if I go and do that. But yeah, you're totally right. I've found that is something I really enjoy doing and really almost kind of like need in a way to like be productive and write, but to do it with some escape, you know, out of the routine. I just 2 minutes ago said I'm excited to be back in the routine. I love the routine of being down here and writing, but I also like really have learned the value of escaping the routine creatively and doing that. Yeah, it's super fun to do it with collaborators. I also have found I've done a couple like solo retreats, usually just a few days up north in Minnesota or whatever. I did that actually a month or two ago. I went up to Cross Lake, Minnesota, and rented a cabin just for a couple days. But each experience is different, but it's always like it becomes something different, new, unique comes out of those experiences. And so I really value them now. And it's, you know, I don't tour a lot, like you said. Yeah, I occasionally play a couple shows a year here and there regionally or whatever. But yeah, this is kind of my quote, in air quotes, touring. It's more just like going somewhere to write and record even a lot. And out of that comes a lot of different inspiration than only doing it here in, you know, in my studio at home. And yeah.
Let me, well, I'm curious. I want to ask Chris, like specifically, what was the first collaboration you did where either you traveled somewhere or you had a collaborator come? Like, what was that first project?
Right, where it was like a chunk of time, like a few days, or whatever, like
where you went to another state, or you know, someone else came out to you. What was that first one?
Yeah, I can't remember if it was like the first one in this sense. I'm trying to remember, but I did when you and I met for the first time. Went out to Denver.
You were out here, yeah,
with John Hayes.
With John Hayes, yep.
And we were writing together. But I feel like there was something before that. So, but that was one
of
the early ones.
Did you do one with Max, or was that John Hayes?
Maxie? Dutcher?
Yeah.
I have not. Wait.
That must have been John Hayes.
Yeah, that was with. So John also did one with Maxie.
Okay.
But it's funny. I mean, it's a small world because Max and I just put out a couple songs this summer, and we've talked about it because.
Okay.
That would be, he's got a sweet setup, and that's another good shout out. I mean, Maxie just on a synth is just so good. Yeah, so it was either that, but also Elijah, I mentioned he's the guy that runs the Terra Songwriting. Anyways, he came to Minneapolis, and then we met up in Wisconsin, kind of in between. That was an early one. I feel like I'm missing one, but yeah, those are some of the earlier-ish ones.
Yeah, I'm mostly asking because, like, I think for me was coming out to see you guys, and when Mike and I were working on some stuff, and I resonate with all those things you said about, you know, getting out of your own space and you get into another space, but it also, you know, I think there's many different variables. One being, if it's the first time you're being with someone in that setting, there can be what feels like a lot of pressure, right? That you either have to be on your best game, or you have to come up with a certain number of ideas. You have to, you know, wrap up the 2 days feeling like it was worth your time. And there's all these different things. And then the three of us, when I was in Minneapolis, the three of us were messing around at your studio, right, Chris? Like that.
Yeah. Right. The couple of years ago, the first time.
That was like, I think that was the first time I think that's the first time I had ever been out there to hang with you guys, at least. And
I just opened up that session like the other day, I think. I didn't really mess with it, but I was like, oh,
did you really?
We did the thing.
Nice.
Yeah. Every once in a while I think of that and I go, because we got kind of weird with it purposefully.
Oh, yeah.
And just, you know, we just went off the rails. Like I was probably doing sampling stuff. Mike, you were on the little Juno E JP08. I think,
you just handed me some
Marshall,
random
you were probably
synth
on
with
another
buttons,
synth or
and
something.
I just started twisting them, and
Yeah, I think I had some synth I brought out. But
yeah, we just hit record for 20 minutes. That was cool because that was kind of unique in that it wasn't like, okay, we have song 1, song 2, song 3. Song 2 is in key of E flat. It was just like literally hit record on everything, and just, we weren't even, some of it was atonal. Some of it was, we were just like, what's Marshall doing over there? Let's like try to find him. We're just like chasing each other with sounds, and yeah, that was cool. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's kind of and that's sort of the unexpected, like just the joy of all of it, if you will, right? Like
yes, being
you
in
can have
person.
all
Yeah,
of these ideas of what you think is going to happen or what you need to plan for, but
yeah,
I think being in a new environment, being in a new studio, it just allows for so much creativity, I guess, in a way that you really just can't plan for as much as you
yeah,
try to. So I feel
yeah,
like
and that's the
the
point. Yeah,
yeah,
I
the
think
practice
yeah,
of that is kind of, that's the whole point in itself. Yeah, it's like if you have the means and the time to get yourself in another space where there's, other instruments and other things in play, and you can explore being, making sounds in a different way than you could in your own space, and you're with other people, it's like really cool stuff can happen. And the stuff that Mike and I did, it's like we didn't craft like songs, right? And just this specific instance, like, but so many of the things we laid down, just they all find their way into these things that we're
Yeah.
doing, which is
Yeah.
kind of like that's a reward in itself to see those things just make their way as you keep making songs. It's like, oh, I'm gonna like throw in this synth from when we had that session or whatever. So yeah, that's really cool stuff.
yeah, and it's like yeah, it's an investment to like obviously like time, especially if you got a family. And then financially, if you got if you're booking an Airbnb, but it always brings something unique to what you're doing, and that whether you're writing an album project or a few songs or just like we were doing for that afternoon, just literally exploring, making things, it always lends to something good, I find, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Mike, about that experience that we had together making stuff and mixing it up in terms of your studio environment and that sort of thing?
Completely agree. I think, and it's funny. I had sort of like a creative process topic I wanted to talk about, and this is kind of related, but I'm just going to shelve that because I want to press into this whole thing a little bit, which is really funny because I think one of the last times that we did it may not have been the last time we just abandoned the plans, but I'm positive that the last time that you were on the podcast, Chris, we totally had.
We did
I had
something
something else
similar.
in mind, and then we just kind of went, and it was awesome.
Maybe I'm the derailer.
Dude,
It's like you get into catch up mode, and then
I
they
know,
just kind of
yeah.
it's great.
yeah.
It seriously
There
is
you go.
great. So, okay, so the idea of like dedicated time for a project, getting out of your typical set of stimuli, nerdy way of saying like usually, I usually record here. What if I were to not record here? I think there's something about it that moves me into a place of proactivity to such a degree that I'm actually kind of embarrassed that I don't do it more. I think about just day in, day out. Like, it's great to log a few hours on a project here. It's great to pick something up for a little bit and to just kind of have it be something that gets accomplished over the course of time. I love that. But if you were to find like the tech world analogy, when they do coding, or, now that AI is doing a lot of coding, maybe it's not a coding sprint anymore, but the idea of bringing an app or bringing a project from start to finish, like basically over a weekend. Like, we bought a 24 pack of Red Bull and we've got, just a boatload of takeout that's going to be delivered every 6 hours. And we're just going to punch this thing, right? Like, we're just going to go for it. It's kind of a wild few days, but at the end of it, you see this awesome product that, or app or whatever, that makes its way out into the world, which is killer. And yeah, then you have to go back and kind of pick up the pieces and like, get back on the train with the rest of life and all that. But like, you did something. I think there was probably an extra level of care or an extra level of thoughtfulness just by being in that state of mind for a longer period of time or having less distractions to take away from what you're focusing on. So that was a long-winded way of saying I love the concept, and I think that that's something that I want to do more over the course of this next year. I mean, Marshall, you and I, we have a Slow Echo collab that we're planning on, and I know obviously we've done a lot of stuff over Dropbox, and we've collabed a lot very successfully in those ways, and I love it. But I was like, man, I think we just got to do it in person. And so I booked a flight out to Denver for November, and we're going to hack it out over a couple days. And again, I think there's maybe, I'm trying to remove the pressure of we need to have the songs from start to finish just dialed in completely. I think the goal is to, in my mind is exactly what you said about when you were out here for the first time. The idea of us just creating and one person inspiring the other and just entering into that space where stuff is just kind of happening in the moment, and then whether it gets curated into a song right there or we just keep compiling a handful of ideas and then find where they land song-wise later, that's cool too. But yeah, I guess I love the results that I've seen when those things happen. And so yeah, with Chris modeling it so well, and with us, we've talked about having an all ambient retreat in a sense. And Ben, I know that means in a lot of senses you'd have to jump a pond or something, or maybe we just need like a third location where we're all having to do quite a bit of traveling or whatnot. But there really is something about being in the same space that, it doesn't downplay the value that we get to collab from anywhere in the world with each other by sending files back and forth. Like, I love that. I love it so much. And we make so much great music that way. But I'm just trying to remind myself of the value of being in the same room with people that I care about and people that I trust musically or choose to trust, and just say, okay, here we go, for better or for worse, here we go. And that's a really, I think, powerful thing. And there's some really powerful art, some really powerful music that comes out of that. So yeah.
Well, I also think it's connected to, like, that's where you're going to have the memories, is when you're, even like you and me, Mike, it's like, yeah, we live in the same city. It's half an hour away. So it's like still a miniature trek. It's like a micro trip for whether you come here or what, but we like committed. We've done it a few times where we commit 2 days in a row, and then I'm going down there or you're coming up or whatever. But regardless, it's like, I still love the songs that we've done where we pass things back and forth. Like you said, it doesn't take away from that, but there's more memories connected to us hanging out. There's like Marshall, you and I, Ben, I've collaborated with all you guys, quite a bit. Yeah. Even Ben, when you were here, we didn't make music that week that I recall, but like, it is the relationships of like the memories of being in person, which is not always doable, or it's rare when it is or whatever, but it is worth it to pursue those things here and there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a question for you guys. So I don't get the chance to kind of in person collaborate that often, definitely less than you guys. Do you
did that to
feel
yourself,
like
man? I mean, Hong Kong's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but
I know, right? I
would also like to be in Hong Kong. So
yeah, exactly. Guys, come.
Maybe I should just go out that way.
There we go. But yeah, like, do you guys feel like it changes the end result versus kind of collaborating, over Dropbox or whatever? Like, and because I assume it does. Like, in what ways do you feel like it changes it?
I'll speak for myself. Like, yes, like big time, but that doesn't mean it's better or worse or anything. I'm going to go back to my friend Elijah, because I've probably done these things the most with him. We've done a handful, and we've also passed things back and forth. Like the last one we did, I drove out to Cleveland, and in 5 days we ended up writing just a ton of songs that we ended up like going into it thinking we're going to write an album, 10 songs or whatever. And we came out of it with like 18 ideas and ended up just releasing a 16 song EP series, we call it, like with 4 volumes of 4 song. Anyways, I say that because like not only that in and of itself was not what we had planned for, and certainly would not have happened if we were passing things back and forth. It's also that what you hear, like we went into it, like our first collaboration was ambient with like touches of classical, a touch of electronic, but pretty, pretty mellow. And then this new stuff, like day one, it was like, I was like doing an arpeggio on the piano. And then I think we had a beat because he had new software that was like kind of like organic beats, glitchy stuff. And we're like, hour one of this 5-day trip is different than we were thinking it would be, and different than album number one together. And we're just like, let's just go for that. Let's just like chase this thing that just like happened, And so then from that came, there's touches of still the same stuff, but from that came a way more rhythmic electronic thing than Geneva, our first album. And yeah, stuff like that just happens, that it just, stuff like that happens when it would not happen if we're just passing files back and forth. But yeah, so.
I guess the reason I ask, because that is entirely my feeling on it as well, is when you collaborate over the internet is you basically don't get those unexpected moments where just something happens and it's then you go with it. And there you kind of have a set, you have a plan. You're like, okay, we need 5 tracks for this project. And then you write the 5 tracks and then it's done. It's like, it's great. It's a really enjoyable process. And it's not that there's no unpredictability in there, but you kind of have much more of a set goal and a set plan and a set way of executing that. And I guess my question is, for those of us and for people who are watching or listening who don't have the opportunity to go and collaborate in person, like what are some of those ways maybe that we could kind of integrate into that kind of the kind of online collaboration process, the best of the in-person? Like how does one add those experimental elements, those ways that you just kind of, the unpredictability? I don't have an answer to that at all, but I would love to have a little bit more of that mindset when I approach just regular online collaborations.
That's a great question. And it's what I was going to answer as far as like what my experience has been traveling, which is basically that. I think in that environment, when you have someone else, it's like you're giving yourself a little bit more freedom to not only like experiment, but then maybe something that just you would normally do nothing with the other person in the room is like, well, let me just track that. I don't care that it's just a arpeggiated synth and everything's just rolling. And maybe you use that in a few months or right then or whenever. And those are like beautiful moments that you just don't think is going to happen. So I don't know, maybe an answer would be, if like maybe the time and the patience allows, and maybe you have, like if let's say for example purposes that someone is listening to this and they're like, I'm going to work on a project with my friend. I would maybe say, maybe just track some stuff that doesn't like put itself into a box of what you might think a song is going to be. Like there's many times for me when you guys know that I like to use pedals and I like to put something into the mood pedal. And there's many times when I have a sound that's coming out of a pedal and I'm just like, well, it's not really fitting with this song, so I'm just going to move on. It might serve me better to just send that to one of you guys and just go, I thought this sounded really cool, and maybe you want to mess with it and maybe not, At the very least, it's giving an opportunity for some other ears to hear that and maybe be inspired and be like, okay, if anything, I can just lay this down as a foundation of something.
Yeah.
Maybe you give yourself a little bit of that freedom to like not hold everything so tightly when you're by yourself because you're afraid to not afraid, but you guys know what I mean. You're like, is this worth, putting any more of my energy into? Where it's very easy to just, I'm just going to track this. I'm going to send Chris. Chris is good at this too. Just while you're here, like Chris, I feel like you're very good at you just sent me something the other day where it was like, I just had some ambient ideas. Do you want to like mess around? Like not holding that tightly at all, right?
Yep.
Like there's a lot of times where if I was in that seat, I might be like, well, this is good, but I don't love it. So I'm just going to put it on my hard drive for now. So I hope maybe that answers that some, is just kind of like we can all, I'm sure, give a little bit more freedom with what we feel like maybe isn't worth being heard by others or collaborating when maybe there's something really cool that could come out of it, So
that's good.
Yeah.
I have ideas, but it seemed like Mike, you had something to say.
Yeah. Just wanted to piggyback off of Marsh real fast. And And yeah, you know, Marsh, there is something. I'm just thinking back to when you and I were working on some early ideas for our post rock project, and I still remember those sessions like it was yesterday. But there were exactly what you were saying. There were some moments where either you were doing something on guitar, or I was, or you're doing something on. You brought just a little, you know, monosynth or polysynth. Like we were turning knobs and having fun, and there were, and I hope I'm not romanticizing this memory, but there were some moments where, yeah, like there could have been that opportunity for you to be like, well, this is just a little idea and away it goes. And certainly like right away for me to say, oh man, that's so cool. What if we try this? And for there to be like that real time interaction to kind of spur you on in that. I think that there's just so much positive affirmation in the sense of being an artist when you're basically divorced from the opportunity to get in your own head about something. Well, like you said, where it's like, I'm going to record this and then I'm going to I think I did enough to it, I'm going to send it off, we'll see what happens, as opposed to I'm just trying this thing out and then there's another person on the other side of the room who's like, whoa, let's take that and we're going to run with that and let's track it and reverse it and flip it upside down and drop it down an octave and use that as a foundational layer for, you know, for whatever. I love the ability to like psychologically be in a place where like, oh wow, that little thing I did was worth something, even though I may have not initially kind of thought of it, like it sparked something in that person right across the room, but it happened real time. And I think that then kind of leads to the next decision that you make creatively. And I think it almost gives you more of a life preserver in a sense, like, well, what else do I have? What other, you know, kind of bolder steps do I want to take? Or what other things might happen that if I would have been in my own head all by myself, I might have talked myself out of going further or out of, just pressing a little beyond where I typically would. So I really value that piece of the collaborative, of being in person and collaborating with each other in a way that, yeah, like to answer your question that you asked, Ben, like I think it gets a little intangible for me, but I'm almost positive that there, kind of what Chris was saying, there is music that happens that just would not have happened had the people in the same room not been a thing. I got to stand by that for sure.
I want to jump in because a bunch of ideas came to my mind because I think it's just a different thing. I think it doesn't necessarily need to be more or less. It certainly is like relationship wise, you know, it's tough to beat, you know, like, and like I said, kind of touched on like memories, being in the same room, but musically, creatively, man, I think there's a lot of things you could do to think outside the box. So I've done one where it was just a friend in town and we tried this where we were like, actually, I think I've done this with a couple times. So like when I say it was a friend in town, he was at his house, I was at my house. So it was quote unquote remote, even though we're local. But I think I've maybe done this with another friend out of town, is, okay, schedule a day where you're both going to do, let's say it's just you and a friend. You're both going to do nothing but write together in your own space. But what happens is you Zoom or your phone call right at 9 a.m. after coffee, and then you put your game plan of like, we're going to work on this song for 1.5 hours. Meet at 10:30. No matter how much you've done, like you're done on that. You have to stop at 10:30. We're going back on Zoom. Then we're going to go to song 2. And then you do piano, I'm doing vocals, whatever, until lunchtime at noon. You're done then. So it's like setting those boundaries of like, as opposed to like, however else you work, it's like, today we're going to be stringent on like how fast we work. So that's one thing I've done. And then you're just like tossing things back and forth. Another thing is like, let's try, instead of like, I have a rough mix and then, or, you know, and I send you stems, and you work on it and you add whatever, which is, you know, most often what we probably generally do is like, one person has an idea, the other person adds to it and back and forth, which is great, you know, but you could like, we're going to commit to working in the key of E flat or whatever. And then we're just going to like, I'm on piano, you're on guitar, or I'm doing synths, I'm doing vocal beds or whatever. And then you send each other those stems, but then you sample each other from that, and just kind of see what happens. Or you write in 2 different keys actually, but then you combine that into one song. You repitch everything into a key in between. It depends what you're going for, because that's going to be a touch of trippy and interesting, but it might not be what you're going for. But it's stuff like that where it's like, I think you can really find some interesting results, and just thinking outside the box a little bit of like what creativity. I would say the last bit here of like, here's what I would do if you could do it. Like if you were like, say you and a friend, but you're halfway across the world. So you're, getting in person is not in the cards. But this year you really want to write an EP together, whatever. What if you both, let's say it's this year, both you commit to the first week in October, you're both going away on a solo, so a trip like this, but just by yourself in your own space. And I would say whether you're collaborating or just working on your own stuff, don't overlook the solo trips. Like I have found I really love the solo getaway trip, but you could do this collaboratively where it's like, you're going 2 hours away and your friend's going 2 hours away, halfway across the world. And you're either like communicating during, or you're not, you're writing your own songs, but there's something about getting away on your own and then teaming up and seeing what happens out of that. Yeah. Those are some ideas of like really mixing it up that could be really interesting, and seeing where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I love what you say about the limitation side of things. I mean, I think we can all relate to that, especially recently with the All Ambient Summer's Over collaborations, where like just having that hour-long limitation, or having a specific instrument that we have to kind of focus on, or whatever it is, that creates an end result which is often a little more different and unexpected than we would typically kind of go for. And that has yielded, I think, for all of us, some really kind of beautiful, kind of moments in music. I love hearing this, because honestly, like it's a way to break the cycle of, like we were saying right up front, sitting in your studio, having that routine, which could, of course, it's a good thing, but like, okay, but you do end up going back to the same things that you're used to. You do end up saying, hey, this is my setup. This is what I can do really, really well. And you end up going to that. And anything that can kind of break outside of that, whether it's limitations from within your setup, or traveling somewhere solo, or going and collaborating in person with someone, I think it's, for me, this is an inspiring conversation, and definitely something that I want to kind of continue to further explore in my own kind of creative processes.
And I think these are all really good things to just be maybe mindful of. Anybody who's making music in a home studio like we are, and we're by ourselves most of the time, it's like there's a lot of these little things you can put into application that when it becomes a practice, it starts to become more inspiring and easier, and you flow a little bit quicker, and you start working in these different things or limitations that you haven't had before. I feel like that's a skill like anything else, that when we start to put the time into that, it's not going to feel so uncomfortable as we keep going, right? And we're going to, you start getting results that, yes, they're not what you were going for initially, but I kind of feel like that's, it starts to become a thing of you start to pick out those things easier. We're like, oh, okay, this is actually really cool and I can use this. Whereas maybe before, when you're not kind of in that practice of just mixing things up, you feel a lot more just sticking with what you're used to, right? So I kind of feel like all these examples, you can take like little pieces of those, whether it's work on a piece for an hour, or I'm going to work with one instrument for this piece. And then you start to you start to train yourself as to like, okay, how can I use this stuff in these cool ways that I haven't before? And then you start to, I feel like that's just a great way to get different results that are like that. That's like the inspiring part, in the end. So I love when that happens, because I love to get stuck in my routine just like anyone else. So yeah.
No, I was just going to quick say, like, last bit for me for this section is like, hi, I'm back. I think a common theme throughout all this, through the trips, through the collaboration, through, we talked about routine and lack of routine and all of the above, is like the openness to, or like the desire to break the mold here and there. And I think like that is the creative desire, even if you're like a very routine-based person, like creatively, if you're a songwriter, if you're a composer, like inevitably there's at least going to be a big chunk of that desire to keep chasing something different, to be breaking out of the mold. And so that's a common theme I'm seeing here. So it's like whether you're meeting in person, whether you're going on trips, whether you're collaborating or not, even just collaborating in general with somebody for the first time is doing that, is breaking out of the mold, however you collaborate, or whatever. So, and even if it's something as small as like today I went to a coffee shop to work on some things, but for an hour, I first just like was inspired because I was listening to music on the way there, and I naturally just get inspired. And I'm like, oh, I gotta like chase this for a little bit, and I'll just do that on my laptop, which is so not the most efficient way for me versus like being in studio with my like main setup and my main keyboard. But I got like Logic. I'm like doing the musical typing keyboard, but you better but you better believe I set up my custom keyboard or custom shortcut to pull up that keyboard when I'm in a coffee shop, and just for an hour or two breaking out of the mold and doing something there with the people there. Even something as small as that is that general thing of like, breaking out of the mold, I think, and like being open to just breaking the routine a little bit creatively. And chasing that.
It's such a huge deal, and I love where this is going. I think there's points of inspiration all over the place. I was even going to interject. I don't think we need to talk about it too much, but I've seen some stuff, and I suppose it's all dependent on internet connection and all that, but there's like a little kind of a desktop audio interface sort of thing, but it doesn't seem like it's that expensive, where you're able to, I think the sell on it or the ad I saw was like, jam with your buddies from across the country. And which is like, that's cute. I like the idea, but instead of like reuniting, your high school garage band or whatever, what if you were to use that to connect with somebody like you, and we were to, whether it has video or not, we can always FaceTime, but to have like a direct, like real-time audio feed to each other, and to just pipe that into to take whatever the other person is sending you and just pipe that right into your DAW, even if it's just like a stereo bounce or whatever, just something to keep it moving and that you can mess with. I love where all of that is going, because like just that real time on the hook, like how are you responding to what I'm thinking of right now? There is something to that, and I think there's a variety of ways to pursue it, and we talked about a lot of them. But I think the moral of the story is, I don't think any one of us would say that any time that we have dedicated to pressing into this and setting aside that time for running after this project or running after even just the time to create, setting aside that time to just to be in motion, we've never regretted it. I don't think a single person around the All Ambient circle has said, I don't know, that was kind of a waste of time. And that, like, just right there, that's just such a great affirmation. Like, when you set aside time for it, good things are going to happen. They might not be exactly what you think is going to happen, but great things will absolutely happen. And that's just a huge encouragement to me, for sure. And I think it's going to be encouragement to a lot of people. Yeah.
Man, I'm inspired. Let's collab, guys.
Ooh, let's hang up this podcast and go make a big old album. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Thanks again for joining us on the All Ambient podcast. This is about as shameless of a plug as it gets, but it really does help for those of you who are watching to give us a rating if you're on any podcast platform like Apple or Spotify or anything like that. On YouTube, we would love a follow, a subscribe, a like, all that fun stuff. And please leave a comment, a review, whatever is applicable to the right place that you're finding this. It really does go a long way. You don't have to make anything up by any means, but if there's some value in this podcast for you, we'd love to hear about it. We, as the All Ambient family, would love to meet you. I know it does my heart good, as well as everybody else who's involved at All Ambient. So please do so. Come back and join us next week. We got another great episode coming your way. And until then, here's hoping that this music and the hearts behind it make your day and your life that much better. Thanks.